And Charles Moscowitz here, and I'm joined by Reed Scott. Reed is the president of the College Republican Club at his university, Eastern Michigan University. Thanks for joining me, Reed.
Yeah, no problem, Mr. Moskowitz. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So let's start out by asking you, what is it like these days to be a Republican on a major university in the United States and in Michigan?
It's definitely an uphill battle. I think most people realize that, especially conservative students. I go to Eastern Michigan University, as you said, which is in Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Most people might not know Ypsilanti, Michigan, but the way I always describe it is most people do know Ann Arbor.
Right. It's in between Ann Arbor and Detroit, right?
I'm only like 6 miles from U of M.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to give you a feel of how liberal this area is, Ann Arbor has always been a notoriously liberal place.
Sure.
So it's Washtenaw County is the county we're in. It's very liberal. So on top of, just the college campus atmosphere, which is also liberal, you have the liberalism of the cultural liberalism, I would say, of the county and the area.
Right. It's notoriously so. Now, Reed, you are not only the president of the Republican Club, but you're also a journalism major. So you're pretty out there and pretty open in terms of being Republican. How do people respond to you and to respond to that? Are people friendly, or are they wary, or what are they like?
I think some people, it's not all one. Some people really do enjoy it, which makes me happy. Because part of the purpose of why I want to be so outspokenly conservative and show people that I'm comfortable with these views and sharing who I am and how I think, I want to inspire others who may not have the socially acceptable college campus liberal views to feel comfortable with having those views and to speak on them.
That's wonderful.
Because I thank you. I think there's a very big social problem in the youth where it's kind of like, there's people who don't feel comfortable sharing how they feel or whatever for fear of being, ostracized and, getting the jump down their throats. And yeah, there's just kind of that, I kind of call it social bullying, where it's like there's a set right views that are have, and then there's ones that are. And I think that's very bad because a big part of the purpose of college, and just the purpose of liberty in general, is for the free exchange of ideas.
Now, talk a little bit about the social bullying. What is that like? I mean, what does that mean?
I think it's just the kind of, these are the set views that are okay to have, that you're expected to have as a college student.
But do people actually bully you or bully people who don't conform to the liberal left point of view? I mean, are there instances of that where you have felt harassed or you felt in any way bullied or threatened?
Well, me personally, not bullied or threatened, but I'm kind of like, I don't want to make myself sound like ooh, look at me. But I've always just been like very upfront. I don't let myself get pushed around and stuff. And I know there's people who aren't like that. So personally with me and how I put myself across there, I don't get bullied. I mean, I'm sure I get judged hard by people in class when I speak. I'm sure, you can't stop that. How people think in their heads, that's just, you can never stop that.
Right.
But I'm very certain across campus that, yes, there's instances where, there's, social bullying or like, oh, we can't talk to these people or I don't want to be seen with these people. You know
Sure.
what I mean?
Yeah, there's like a shunning going on. And, I point out that I know I'm generalizing here, but in general terms, most of the time, conservatives, Republicans, libertarians, people who are not on the left, are more tolerant toward all points of view, whereas you get people on the left to varying degrees, and I know I'm generalizing, they tend to, have a kind of a superiority complex, so they feel that they're, everyone, it's a holier than thou attitude, that
Yeah.
they sometimes subscribe to Christians, but it's actually them who, it's sort of like a case of projection. That anyone that doesn't march to their view is, somehow evil, or to be shunned.
It's the dehumanizing them so you don't feel as bad. And then I tie this into, we have a mental health crisis,
Yes,
especially with the youth. And your early 20s and stuff is a trying time for everyone
of
when they're in their
course.
early 20s. You're trying to figure yourself out, like,
Yeah,
where do I fit in? What do I, do, and with this social bullying, it keeps people from finding themselves, from truly finding what they
yeah,
enjoy, what makes them them, finding out who themselves. It prevents people from that free range ability to do so. And I wrote a opinion piece talking about this like 3 or 4 months ago in our campus newspaper. You know, the best way to help, you know, help the youth in the mental health crisis we're going through, like, you just have to let people be themselves. You have to let
yeah.
people feel the way they do, and you got to let them have the freedom to find themselves and be who they are. When you
Very
sit
well
there,
put.
when you sit there and you try to mold people into the sculpture that your personal self sees as fit, that's when things break down. You're going to get kickback from these people. And not only that, you're deteriorating their mental health. You're making them feel awful about
Yeah,
themselves. You're making them
it's
not
very
interested
sad.
in the
I
world.
mean, because a college campus is supposed to be a place where you have
It's a free,
yeah. I mean, they talk
yeah,
about so-called safe spaces. I mean, it should be a safe space to express your opinions and to be who you are, and to have an open dialogue with people who disagree, can do so in a relatively safe atmosphere where you can learn, and that's being suppressed. Now, what about the professors? How do they handle the fact that you're in their class, especially since if you do like sort of political classes, or like,
yeah.
I don't know if you do any of the studies, but what do you do when you have a liberal left professor? And most of them are. I'm not saying this. I'm not making that up. There's been national
Oh,
surveys.
no. A lot of them are into the Marxist stuff and are very. But I'm trying to think of this past one. The professors I've had in this semester, I actually just ended like a few days ago. I finished my last final. All of
Mhm.
that was online. But anyway, that's being sidetracked. This semester, I've had all my professors were actually very encouraging to me this
That's
semester
good.
about, especially um, Dr. Volker Kraus is his name. He was my comparative government teacher, and I love that man. He's a very good man,
Good.
and he was encouraging to it because he just sees. He's like, he didn't sit there and, like, he's very good at this. When he teaches, he does not let whatever he feels bleed through. He just wants you to think and to have the wheels turning and to be able to defend why you feel and think the way you do. That's all he wanted. And he's
Now, let me ask you. I mean, how many people would you say as a percentage? And of course, this is not a scientific answer, but
just a
what
ball
percentage of people do you think are supporters of Donald Trump as president?
on campus.
Yes.
Uh, If I took just a wild guess, I think it's higher than most people would guess. Like, I would think like it's probably near 30% or a third.
Right. But
I
most
would.
of them do it quietly. Nobody wants to come out of the closet. It's like Soto voce. Don't tell anybody. I mean, I've had people, because I'm in Boston, and I've had people come up and say, Chuck, I'm with you, but don't tell anybody.
No, that happens here all the time. It's what I call. I've heard the term and closet conservatives.
Yeah.
They
You
don't.
have to be. You have to be careful.
Yeah, and like
People could whack you in the head.
I've thrown that out the window with being careful in that regard. Like, I'm pretty loudmouthed and like
Yeah,
but like I'm not just confrontational off the bat.
I understand.
I'm just like whatever. I just always expect, let's just sit down and talk and try to hash this out. Let's have a meaningful debate. And sometimes people just really don't want to do that. And like I have liberal friends here at the at Eastern.
Hmm.
one of my really good friends, he's, what do they call themselves? The Youth Democratic Socialists of America.
Oh, okay.
He's on the e-board of that student org, which is polar opposite of me being Republican president.
Yep.
But I really enjoy him. He's a
Good.
great man. He's a very honest man, and I hope he feels the same about me. We're good friends. We talk.
Good. Well, that's
And
encouraging. I mean, I think that a lot of people are fearful of coming out publicly as supporters of the president because, and I don't blame them, you can affect your future. You know, you get your parents are spending 50 grand a year at least to go to college. You don't want to have to foul that up and get, in trouble and get reported to the bias police. I don't know if your college has that. Some colleges are implementing that. Where you can, drop a dime on a Trump supporter.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
messed.
Well, that's over at Tufts University. But there's some other colleges, I think, that have kind of tinkered with that idea. And it's really, it's really a change in atmosphere in recent years. It's almost become somewhat fascistic in terms of what you can express and who you can be on a college campus. Having said that, I want to just put in a disclaimer here. No one is expecting someone to go out and express racist attitudes. That's a given. The problem is that those terms can be so broadly defined that anybody who doesn't support the left is automatically put in the category as being racist, having something against black men and women, which is a lie.
Oh yeah. That's, again, like I kind of said earlier, going back to it, it's that dehumanizing. If you sit there and have that collectivist attitude that this person's conservative, they're bad, all this is true, and you convince yourself of it, then you don't, you don't go, oh, they're just a person. Maybe I should just talk to them and see, they have the same needs probably as I do and just want the same things out of life that I do. When you shut that off, and again, with the dehumanizing, it makes it easier. You don't feel bad for just, because I mean, I like talking to anyone and everyone, as I said. I have liberal friends. I don't mind it. Like, I think it's good. And
that's true of most conservatives. I mean, I love to interview liberals. I like political debate. I like to do it respectfully, and I like to do it. I try to do it without too much, histrionics. But to me, that's important. And I think that in our society today, especially since the election of President Trump, there has been such a divide that people aren't talking to each other anymore. So I'm happy to hear that, people your age, younger people in college are crossing, over and talking to each other. That's good.
Because, like, I remember, I'm a little bit older than your average college student. I turned 28 in a few months, so I'm 27 now. And, like, I was thinking about this too before this interview, and like, it just set in realization with me. I was, when I was back in high school, so this is like 10 years ago, 10 to 12 years ago, people talked with each other all the time. There was intermingling of cliques, I guess, as you could say, all the time. And nobody sweat it or second thought it. And that just seemed to have disappeared completely. Like,
absolutely.
There was intermingling of different ideas, lifestyles, and all that. And we were all just, patting each other on the back, being cool. We had our disagreements and all this, but still we could sit down, have a nice meal together, talk together, spend quality time together. And, it just seems like that completely evaporated after 2016 when, Trump was elected. That was just like also, any possibility of being civil was just like thrown out the window. The social upheaval, and this is the big one with me, is the social upheaval that's just happened.
Now, let me ask you about a little bit, if you don't mind, about Michigan politics. There's a lot of, particularly during the pandemic, there's been a national story of the Michigan governor, Gretchen Whitmer, implementing very strong restrictions on people. Now, my state of Massachusetts, I think, has been somewhat moderate in that way. We're not that strong. I mean, you still can go out into public parks as long as you social distance. And now some communities are saying you have to wear a mask, but it's kind of up to the community. And But in Michigan, I mean, I understand that there's a statewide ban on anyone, going to, even to their neighbor's house, and that there's, if you go to a grocery store, you can only buy certain things and not other things. And
Oh yeah.
is that true? What's going on with that?
Yeah, no, there's serious laws that she wrote, and we'll talk about it too, because yesterday things went
Oh
down.
yeah, I want to ask about what's going on there.
Well, yeah, we were gonna. I'll get to that, but
Yep.
she's just these insane, and it's like when you think about it, you're like, this isn't about safety and care; it's about control.
Yeah.
There's literally a rule where two or more people can't ride in a car.
And these are people who are living together. I mean, it's not like, people can operate reasonably and safely. I mean, I'm not against um, staying in. I mean, I'm staying in myself, so I'm not going to try to be hypocritical here. But you still have to get out and operate and function. And I
Yeah,
don't know what's the motivation. I think that this governor of yours, I mean, my snap opinion is that she's trying to get national attention. Maybe she thinks she'll be picked as vice president. She thinks that by doing these extreme measures and these kind of, it appeals to a certain segment of the left establishment, and that
she is. No,
that's who she's
she is.
going for.
I see a ton of leftists on Facebook and friends that I'm with. They defend her and stuff, and I'm like, okay, like that's your view, but she's just gone so wild with it, and like one of the ones, like I said, the two or more people in a car, that's technically like breaking her executive order or whatever. Also, going from one property to another, like let's say you own two homes in the state or a home and apartment or whatever, travel between those is supposed to be, halted. Uh, you go to the grocery store and you start seeing like empty shelves and food shortages because, again, this is how I feel. The government has come in and meddled in the free market, and that's the result.
Hmm.
This is what happens. She's gone very full on with this, and the
Yeah.
thing is, Michigan, only two counties in the entire state are hotspots: Wayne and Oakland.
Hmm.
Wayne County being where Detroit is, and then Oakland County being the Detroit suburbs.
Right.
So you got to think about the probably like 3 million people who live north of Lansing,
Yeah.
up in the lower peninsula, and especially in the upper peninsula.
Right.
We haven't seen a single case, death, or anything
Hmm.
being
And they're being
included.
told to stay inside. They can't buy lawn seed. I mean, they can't grow a garden. I mean, it seems. And now,
That
correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, there's been some bad publicity around protests at the state Capitol
was.
building in Lansing, where you have people. They've been described as being armed, going into the Capitol building, and that the governor had to flee the premises. What's going on with that?
So there was a huge protest yesterday and the protest worked because the legislation did not approve any extension on her stay-at-home orders, which she wanted through May 28th. She already went and announced that they're in until May 28th anyway, without legislation approval, which is incredibly illegal. So it is. It just flat out is. She has no authority to do that. The Senate and the House both rejected it, and it wasn't party lines. A few Democrats voted with Republicans to halt her stay-at-home order.
Good.
I think four Democrat House members and like one or two Democrat senators sided with the Republicans to halt these orders. And I personally, I do not think the state House and the state Senate would have done that. I think they would have rolled over and gave in to Whitmer.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't go there and step up and pressure because, yeah, there was thousands of people on the steps of the Capitol building. They went into the building. It's our right to sit in. House sessions and Senate sessions are open to citizens of the state.
Yeah.
It is right to be able to sit there.
That's right. No, I mean, and as you point out, it had a powerful effect.
Yeah, they sat in the balconies, recorded everything that was happening, and listened closely.
Right. And having said that, I mean, I do think that people ought to exercise caution in the face of a disease like this. It's a terrible disease. It's a good idea to social distance and to use a mask when you're in public. I mean, I don't know if the government needs to come in and start to arrest people, I read
That's
recently that the reason South Korea has such a low rate of spread of the disease is because if you step off your lawn, step outside your door, you could end up going to prison for a year, or you
yeah.
could end up getting $10,000 fine. So, is that really the way to go? I mean, in this
Well,
country, I mean,
that's
I
the
don't
thing
know.
too with a lot of these lefties. They're like, "Oh, look at how China has done, and all these countries that took very totalitarian measures to
Oh
get where
yeah.
they're at." And they're like, "Why can't we do that here?" And
Uh-huh.
that's very terrifying to me. Like,
Oh
I
my
just
God, yeah. I mean, if they had been in charge, I thank God Trump's president right now because if we had had a liberal Democrat in that office, we'd probably have martial law. We'd have
oh yeah,
concentration camps for people who stepped outside without a mask.
and
We'd
then
have even as it is, De Blasio and AOC. They've called for nationalizing whole portions of American industry.
oh yeah, and it's just insane because if you go and watch this, it's like all the Democrat governors are just going wild.
Oh
You
yeah, I
know,
know it's true.
the Republican governors, if you look at states with Republican governors, they're doing all right.
Yeah, even my own state of Massachusetts, as liberal as we are, we have a Republican governor, and he's it's pretty
Yeah, that's
moderate. Yeah,
yeah, that's true. You do have a
we
Republican
do.
governor.
Even though he's liberal, but nevertheless,
He's a mod.
he's not going hog wild with this stuff. He's letting
He's not powerful.
communities. Yeah, I mean, communities are deciding, and
He's
yes, we're told to stay in, but it's not like we don't have
he's letting
people putting
people
you under
decide for
arrest.
themselves, which
Uh,
is what this country was. He's giving people their own choice of liberty. These are the precautions we recommend you take. We hope you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well
Like,
stated.
and because the big star that I absolutely adore out of all this is Governor Kristi Noem from South Dakota.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
She's great. I would love to see her. And I was like thinking it in my head. I was like, oh, a Republican ticket of Rand Paul and her for 2024. That would be so awesome.
That's a good one. Yeah, let her. She's definitely a rising star in the
Right. In the
Republican
liberty
firmament.
movement, she's huge right now.
Yeah.
She didn't do anything. She didn't make any, like I just said, is what she did. We have this disease spreading. Here are the precautions. You should take them, but I'm not going to kick your door in and weaponize the government to punish you if you don't.
Okay. Reed Scott's my guest. Reed, how do you think President Trump is going to do in the next election?
In November, I think he's going to win. I really do. Um, and to me, this is just a reoccurring thing, and they're trying to use this pandemic, the coronavirus thing, as another one, as
Mhm.
another stunt. The Democrats have just tried to throw stuff at the wall, just seeing what sticks to get Trump. You had Russia, impeachment, all this,
Oh my God,
one
yeah.
after the other.
Sorry about that.
You're all right. They're just using this coronavirus thing as another reason to just throw something at the wall and
Oh
just
yeah.
be like, point my finger at Trump and
It's obnoxious and it's
and,
dangerous.
and the thing too is with Biden. Geez, you even still see it, the civil war in the Democratic Party right now. And I knew the second Bernie Sanders dropped out, it was inevitable.
Yeah.
But oh God, you got just like the youth heavy liberals who are just like, no way in hell would I ever vote for Biden. And you got the moderates and the liberals just still fighting. You got Biden, Biden's a moderate, but like he keeps talking and going a little further progressive with things to try to, play politics and harder in the further left vote in the youth. But Biden,
Not
Biden,
resonating.
no, Biden is another Hillary. The Democrats didn't learn from 2016. You want
Yeah.
to not, it's like it's a big name and well known, but,
It's
not very
also
well.
interesting to
Not
watch. It's sort of to watch how they squirm over the rape charges, but that's another subject.
They're making all of the same mistakes they did in 2016. They didn't learn. They're
Hmm.
really walking down that same path.
All right,
And
Reed. So listen, let my listeners and viewers know where they can, if you'd like to, if you'd like them to reach your publication, or if you have a website or anything you'd like to publicize.
well, you could get a hold of me through my email.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't have like any like publication or anything. I'm probably gonna join the school newspaper. I do need to do that. I'll probably do so in the fall. Because I'm a journalism major, so I need to like really get that on.
Mhm.
I do it news program at the moment, but we're not doing that right now.
Of
But I
course.
usually film the news program in the TV studio here and wrote and direct it. Well, anyway, sorry. My email is rscott, SCOTT. So rscott38 at emish.edu. That's just my college email.
Okay.
I check
Excellent.
that right
I'm writing it
often.
down right now. All right. Listen, Reed, you're a very good, articulate spokesman for your causes and your beliefs, and I see you have a very good and bright future as a journalist to step out and do this and to get involved. So, I really want to thank you for joining me. Let's stay in touch. If you have a story that you think you want covered, please drop me a note. And
Yeah,
I enjoyed talking with you.
absolutely, sir. I enjoyed it too, Mr. Moscowitz. Just send me a message on LinkedIn or email me whenever you want.
Will do. All
All
right.
right.
Have a good one.
Like I said, I'm done with school for the year, so I'm just
As is everybody.
yeah, I'm in
Pretty
this
much.
now. Not much on the schedule, so yeah, just let me know.
Will do. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye bye.